Welcome back to Thinking Critical. This is Wes, and it's your Saturday night delight. It's geek-span with the D-Man and my buddy Skip and Tosh. How you doing?
I'm good, man. Always excited to talk about some geek culture news. We got some movie news. We got some show news. We got all different types. So everybody, sit down, strap in, get ready to be entertained as we discuss some nerd culture comic book news for you.
Absolutely. I hope everyone's ready for their geek culture news. All right, Skip. Thor Ragnarok frontman Taika Waititi is the next man up leading Disney's Star Wars franchise. Will Taika be the next director receiving the axe from Kathleen Kennedy?
It's hard to say that he won't be, Wes. We've seen how she deals with talent there. Hard for her to stay on the same page. She's almost like a bit of an absentee parent, almost when we've seen her interacting with her talent, and then when she finally does check in and chime in, she feels like she needs to patch work because like you cleaned the dishes, but not the way I told you to. You shot the movie, but not the way that we agreed. And it's like, hey, if you were a better manager and you were keeping a tighter reins on things a little bit, if you were a little more present, things would go the way that both parties agreed. Because, creators need guidance too, most of them. But Taika, unfortunately, I can't say that he's an exception. The only way that this wouldn't be the case is if this happened to be the movie that Kevin Feige was helping with, that the one that he was supposed to be producing for Star Wars. And I felt like his participation, both as a character and his direction on the season finale of The Mandalorian, was really solid. So I think he can make something solid in Star Wars. I think it can be even more accepted than what was going on in Marvel. But Kathleen Kennedy's axe, she keeps it sharp and she keeps it close, man. He could get the axe, Wes. What do you think?
Well, I think I just saw on social media and, in some of the news that Josh Trank quit, the Mandalorian movie that they were going to do because he didn't want to get fired. He knew it was happening. I think she's got a reputation now in the industry as far as Star Wars directors. She fired Lord and Miller. There's been several directors now. She keeps kind of churning through them. I think Colin Trevorrow is in there as far as being fired. She's been going through a lot of high-profile directors. Obviously, Taika Waititi is a high-profile director, but I don't think he'll be getting the axe. I think, with the things that he did in Thor, where it was kind of turning the story on its head, not really paying homage to the character or really the tone of the series or even the MCU really. And then when you see what he's kind of got lined up for Thor Love and Thunder, probably more down Kathleen Kennedy's alley than I'd like to admit. So I think he's going to be all right, but he better not give her too much room because she will give him the axe if she has to.
She'll cut him. She'll cut him deep. All right. Sticking with some movie news, Academy Award winner Nick Cage will make his small screen debut portraying Joe Exotic, the star of the Netflix documentary series Tiger King. Was Nick Exotic an inevitability?
I think so. Nick Exotic has got a ring to it. Nick Exotic, I could just see him in the wig and in the stupid outfits and just hamming it up, on the small screen. We've only, this will be the first time Nick Cage is going to be in a TV show. He's only been a movie star up to this point. So I think it's probably the perfect guy to play that character. I can't imagine anyone else taking the character seriously and really trying to, channel that Joe Exotic vibe, through the televisions. I don't know why the show needs to be made. It feels like, there already is a show on Netflix called Tiger King, and it's really popular. I don't know why they're doing like a scripted version of it. I don't see anybody really surpassing that man, in his own skin. But if anyone can come close, it's got to be Nick Exotic. Nick Cage back on the wagon in one of his goofy, crazy characters.
That is the only reason for this thing to be remotely redeemable, in my personal opinion. Like you said, I feel like it's a redundancy. That whole thing was well documented. It's a documentary. So I don't think that it needs to be reenacted. But if you're going to do it, you have to go even farther over the top than the original. And think there was only one man on this planet that could go more exotic than Joe Exotic, and that is Nick Exotic, aka Nick Cage. So like Thanos, he's an inevitability. And as redundant as this is, they got the right person to catch my attention. I'm gonna be tuning in as soon as it's done. It looks like it might take a little while because I don't see anybody shooting any movies on movie sets anytime soon. But at the same time, could be sooner than we think. Things are starting to change out there, Wes.
Well, yeah, things are definitely turning up. We talked about it on the channel here on Thursday and Friday. So, good news on the movie front. But time for the next question. Paramount are planning a fourth G.I. Joe film following the upcoming Snake Eyes standalone movie and a Transformers animated prequel from Toy Story director Josh Cooley. Who's got you more hyped, G.I. Joe or Transformers?
I'm going with G.I. Joe. When I was a kid, I loved them both, but I was always more of a G.I. Joe fan. Of course, the whole Snake Eyes standalone movie, still excited for that. And I think, honestly, even if it's bad, I'll be honest, I'm one of those people, man. I liked both of those G.I. Joe movies that came out. I enjoyed them. I had fun with them. I know they're not good movies, but they were fun movies to me. They had the graphics, they had the action, they brought the heat. It was solid, man. So I just don't see myself not going and checking these out and also not enjoying them either. It's going to be a good time. The Transformers movie, I can say, it did get to a point where I was like, okay, this is ridiculous. And it's starting to be not fun because they were trying to take themselves too serious. But that's one thing I'll give about the G.I. Joe movies. Like, they just continue to have fun with themselves and they didn't take themselves too serious. But Wes, I know you're a big Transformers fan. Which one's got you more hyped?
All right. So actually, I'm a bigger G.I. Joe fan than I am really a Transformers fan. If you look at the movies, if you look at the G.I. Joe animated movie, probably not quite as good as a Transformer animated movie. You look at all the two G.I. Joe live action films so far, dare I say worse than anything the Transformers have put out, and they put out a lot of bad movies. Although the first one is pretty okay, and I do like Bumblebee, especially my son. We watched that one together a lot. That's his favorite Transformer, but I don't know. So I'm torn here, Skip. A part of me wants a good G.I. Joe movie, even beyond just the Snake Eyes movie, which I think is going to be great. But the first 15 minutes of Bumblebee on Cybertron, when it's animated and it's just the robots, was absolutely bonkers. I love that. That's the best 15 minutes of Transformers that Paramount has ever put on the big screen. It was amazing. It's super exciting. Whenever my son decides to put it on and watch on the tablet or watch it on the TV, I always stop what I'm doing. I make sure I watch that part because it's my favorite part of the movie. It's one of the coolest things that's came out in movies in the last 2 or 3 years. I guess about like 3 or 4 years now. It's actually not all that new, but that part was amazing. I can't imagine the dude from Toy Story 4 taking that little part, expanding it out. I want a movie on Cybertron. I don't want any damn humans. I want Bumblebee. I want Optimus Prime. I want to see maybe we'll see Rodimus Prime this time. I want Starscream. I want I want all the Decepticons. I want the Constructicons. I want what do we got? What else do we got in there? Besides that, the Dinobots. I want all that stuff. All the stuff I had as a kid. I want it on Cybertron. I want it animated by the dude from Toy Story. So I got to go there, and my son's going to love it. And I'm going to have plenty of reasons to watch that over and over. It's probably going to be tough for me to get a lot of G.I. Joe on the big screen until the boys are a little old.
That's very true. Very good points, Wes. Well, we see the direction that you're leaning in, and it makes complete sense. So Transformers it is for you, and then 1 on the tally for the G.I. Joe for me. There we go.
Let's see. Everything changes.
That is very true. And then for me, it's a little different because I'm a dad with daughters, so ain't no G.I. Joe, ain't no Transformers, but Marvel movies, we in there. All right, getting over into some comic book news now. According to Newsarama, multiple publishers have approached Lunar Distribution for future comic distribution. Do you see Marvel using the new distributors in the future, Wes?
I think so. It's a good news. I was, there were some questions maybe if Lunar and UCS were exclusive to DC. This definitely it makes it seem as that is not the case, that these two new nationwide distributors will be available for everybody, as far as the retailers and the publishers. And I don't see why Marvel wouldn't get on board this. There might be shops out there that find the terms of service more to their liking from Lunar, or maybe they like the packaging, or there might be things that they like better there. And in order to serve all the retailers best, I don't know why Marvel and some of the other publishers wouldn't eventually come on board with Lunar and UCS, or maybe one or the other, and there will be an outright winner to where there'll be two distributors in the future. I see that as an inevitability as well. Just like Thanos, I think it has to come online, and I think choice is the best thing for consumers. It's the best thing for retailers, and I think in the end, it's going to be the best thing for publishers as well. So, I absolutely see Marvel coming on board with Lunar and hopefully UCS in the end. And I'm glad to see other publishers are kind of testing the waters, seeing what's available out there, and maybe start publishing or distributing their books to a new distributor as well, and kind of just see how it goes.
Yeah, absolutely. I can see it happening too. At least, there has to be at least some sort of trial run, right? To give them more options, to establish a different relationship, more, like you said, more options for the publishers, more options for the LCSs, more options. And then that gives, that bolsters, our accessibility as customers. So, I think there at least has to be a trial run. I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up being something that's permanent. It makes total sense to me that Lunar didn't make it an exclusive deal, because that would have basically stifled them from bringing on other publishers as well. So makes complete sense to me. And I would like to see Marvel try that out as a trial one. Diamond had its run. It was good. Steve Jeppy and everything that I see him in, he seems to be, a charismatic dude who loves comics, and that's all good and well. But when it comes down to business, it's always best when we don't have monopolies. So I'm happy to see that, Lunar was able to deliver. Of course they have some hiccups first time around, but I think over time they'll just refine the process and hopefully stick around in this thing. We could use more options.
Absolutely.
What we got next, Wes? What we got next?
All right, Tom Cruise, Elon Musk, SpaceX, and NASA are in early development for the first action movie filmed in space. Does Tom got the stones to do his own stunts in the vacuum of space, Skip?
He's got the stones, but they'll be floating because it's zero gravity up there. Who else? Who else, man? I can't think of anyone else besides Tom Cruise. At this point, he's more of like a wrestler to me than just like an actor. He's out there. He's giving you the theatrical performances, but he's giving you the physicality and whatnot as well. I'm sure his body is all banged up and beat up from what he's delivered to acting. And there's only so many actors that can say that. And now he wants to, take this to the great beyond. He wants to take it out into space. And if there is anybody that I feel like can pull it off, it's Tom Cruise. And then, you have to have other people that are risk takers and, want to take things to the next level. Elon Musk is that person. He's got his SpaceX program, and I guess NASA is involved too. All right. Makes sense. I'm surprised that they would get involved with something like this, but at the same time, they have the most experience. So, at least them, if they're not fully going to be involved in some sort of physical and, manner, then they'll at least be given some guidance and, maybe some other resources. So we'll see. I just hope, anytime you do that very first one, it's that egg that you crack to make the omelet. It's already such a tall order. I wonder what the quality of it will be like, because safety is going to be such a big concern for most of the time. I don't know how much it's going to allow them to really just focus on the filmmaking and the art itself. But yeah, if anybody's got the the cojones, the unmitigated gall, is Tom King and Elon Musk together. What are your thoughts on this, Wes? This is pretty crazy, man.
You just said Tom King instead of Tom Cruise, man. You got Batman on the brain, son. What's going
obviously,
on there?
Tom King is way more of an alpha, and he is truly the one that can pull things off. I mean, Wes, after all, he's the goddamn Batman. Okay,
he is the goddamn Batman. But I think you might be underselling NASA here. I imagine they're going to be getting some of that sweet, sweet coin. Of course, their budgets have been slashed in recent years, so I think they're definitely going to get some money to help out with the filming. Now, while I absolutely do not believe that you got me telling Tom King. Well, I absolutely do not believe Tom Cruise will be in space filming this. I think they're probably just going to be filming parts of the movie actually in space, with the help of SpaceX and NASA. But if anybody would do it, it would be Tom Cruise. And obviously, if they're going to do that, you got to bring Jackie Chan on board, need Tony Jaa in there, bring all the people that do the craziest stunts that are on, put them out there in space and see who wins. My money is actually it's on Tom Cruise. I mean, I saw the one where he did the, what was that, Mission Impossible 2, where he was rock climbing with no ropes or anything like that. So the man's got some cojones. He's certainly got the cojones to go and film in space, but I don't think anyone's actually going to let him do it. And well, you never know. It's Tom Cruise. Maybe he'll pull it off.
That would be the biggest insurance bond that you'd have to get for an actor ever. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. All right, well, sticking with space, Battlestar Galactica is getting rebooted following its acclaimed run on Sci-Fi for NBC's Peacock streaming service. Is Galactica ready to return to service, Wes?
Man, I don't know. This is a weird one. So I remember, I'm old enough to remember Battlestar Galactica as a kid, and it was really campy and hokey, and I think it came on Saturdays. It wasn't like a primetime show or anything like that. And it was pretty silly. It was something kids would enjoy. But Sci-Fi's take when they rebooted it, they did the original made for TV movie, and it was so good with Edward James Olmos as Adama, and then you had new characters in there, and they obviously gender swapped gosh dang, what's their name? Starbuck and some of the other major characters, and they brought so much new lore in there, and they took it really seriously. Completely different take on Battlestar Galactica, and I think that's what really separated it and made people love it. Now, I think if they try and recreate that for Peacock, it's not going to work, especially if it's supposed to be in the same events and the same crew and stuff like that, because it's already been done so well the first time. So they're going to have to do something completely different with it. Are they going to put it underwater? Are they going to make it campy like the 80s show that 70s and 80s show that everyone probably has forgotten that isn't, that's younger than us right now. Maybe, but if they try and ape the first one and try and kind of copy the success of Battlestar Galactica on Sci-Fi, I think they're going to be in for a rude awakening, because that's going to be really hard to replicate. And like I said, it was already basically done perfectly, except for the ending. And then there was a few rough spots in there, but otherwise that's one of the best sci-fi shows that there's been in the last 15, 20 years.
Yeah. This one's tough for me because I'm not sure that they have a fresh idea. I'm sure they're farming for all, the ideas that they can get, but it's for the Peacock streaming service. Something about it just screams, our streaming service needs a space show. We have
Star
property
Trek for Paramount.
Exactly. So it doesn't even, I can't say that someone's got a new fresh take or, something that's going to respect the version of it that people really enjoyed. I'm not feeling good about it. I mean, I'll definitely give it a chance. I very much enjoy space shows, and unfortunately, outside of, I will admit I haven't watched The Expanse, but and a lot of people say that, and maybe I'll get to the point where I give that one a chance, but I've just been burned by so many of them. At the same time, this is the guy that likes Farscape, so I don't know. Maybe that's how low I finally got. Maybe I lived long enough to watch space shows become the villain, and I just accepted it. But I don't know how I feel about this one. It doesn't seem like it's going to be something that sticks. They're late. They're already late in the game. Most of the time when people are late in the game to streaming services, they just try to produce things as fast as possible just to get it out there so they have content for it. I'm not confident in this, Wes, but like I said, ultimately I'll give them a chance. We'll see how it goes.
As will I. I love Battlestar Galactica. I hope they do it well, but it's going to be hard to beat the cast they had on that, or on the reboot on Sci-Fi. It was fantastic. But Skip, that basically wraps up our time here today on geek-span. We talked about the geek culture 411. Lots of movie news, a little bit of comic news. Not a whole lot out there right now. Most of that was already covered on the channel this week that need to be covered. So appreciate you being on the channel. Is there anything you need to say before we sign off?
No, just thanks to everybody who tunes in on Twitch. We really appreciate it. Almost at our goal. I think we only need one more follower. So anybody who's out there, you got a Twitch account, go over to twitch.tv/thinking_critical_YT. Help us get to our goal of 50 followers over there. And anybody who wants to take us over that limit too, you're more than welcome to go help out. And other than that, keep tuning in, keep enjoying the Thinking Critical content. We appreciate our community.
Salamat po, and I'm out.